They tried to bury the truth, seal it in silence, drown it beneath polished reports and government-issued statements that sounded too smooth, too rehearsed, too eager to close the curtain. But some names refused to stay quiet. Some stories refused to stay dead. And Yu Menlong's name, once whispered, now rising like thunder, has become the haunting echo the officials never wanted to hear again. This is not a memorial. This is a resurrection. A reclamation. A final cry from a truth they tried to strangle before it could speak. Because Menlong's death was never an accident. It was a script written in the shadows, rehearsed behind locked doors, and performed under dim streetlights. And now, piece by piece, the script is unraveling. What follows is not speculation. It is revelation. Scene after scene of evidence blooming like wildfire, too vivid to deny, too sharp to ignore, too synchronized with the rhythm of every earlier revelation. The truth flows like a river returning to the ocean where it belongs, loud, relentless, unstoppable. It begins on the night they said he slipped. A night that looked ordinary on the surface, but the air held a tension that felt premeditated. Even the wind seemed to hesitate, as if it knew it was about to witness something it shouldn't. Menlong walked alone, unaware of the choreography of danger aligning behind him. The street lamps glowed, pale and watchful. The walls whispered. And the pavement waited like a stage floor ready for an unscripted tragedy. The new evidence didn't just illuminate the darkness, it exposed the puppeteers behind it. The video once dismissed as low resolution suddenly sharpened when enhanced by independent technicians, revealing the silhouette they swore wasn't there. A figure cloaked in stillness. A presence too deliberate to be coincidence. The moment the analysis team paused at the frame showing the glint near the figure's hand, everything changed. That glint wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't a reflection. It was metal. Cold. Folded. Deadly. A collapsible baton pressed tight against the figure's side. Someone watched Menlong. Someone followed him. Someone waited for the exact breath, the exact second, the exact step where he would be most vulnerable. And then came the sound, so subtle, so tucked into the audio track that only a forensic ear could catch it. The spike at 2:14. A short, suppressed pop. Not random noise. Not distortion. But the unmistakable sound of contact. A hit delivered with precision. Not enough to echo. Just enough to break. Officials labeled it technical malfunction. But malfunction doesn't have rhythm. Malfunction doesn't follow footsteps. Malfunction doesn't strike a man seconds before he falls. The ground didn't pull Menlong down. A hand did. A calculated strike did. A hidden intention did. And the shadow, oh, the shadow. That impossible, haunting silhouette stretching across the pavement like a second narrator in a story that was never meant to be told. The streetlights cast shadows in straight, obedient lines. But this one bent differently. Moved differently. Lurked like a creature made from someone's cruelty. Shadow analysts proved that its height, shape, and motion matched the figure behind the tree, down to the angle of its shoulders. Not a lens issue. Not an illusion. A witness. A predator. A ghost that wasn't a ghost at all. The officials wanted the world to believe Menlong was alone. But the pavement remembered differently. And shadows never lie. Then the autopsy fragment surfaced, the one tucked away in a restricted drawer, removed from the official report as if erased from reality. A bruise. A perfect oval imprint on the upper back. A mark that didn't match a fall. A mark that didn't match gravity. A mark that matched the baton. The medical examiner who leaked it risked everything. Her message was short but explosive. This was no accident. Someone struck him. Someone made the bruise disappear on paper, not on his skin. That tiny bruise has now become the loudest scream in the investigation. But the story doesn't end with the body. The street itself testified. Electrical logs revealed a momentary blackout, less than a second, targeted precisely at the spot where Menlong was walking. A glitch. Not with that level of accuracy. The reroute originated from a manual override. Someone engineered that darkness. Someone needed a window of invisibility. When the lights flickered, the figure stepped. When the lights returned, the figure froze again, merging into the scenery like a phantom with a pulse. And the neighbor, poor woman, who stayed silent for weeks, finally spoke in the quiet hours nobody listens to. Her voice shook, but her words cut like glass. I saw someone behind him. They told me I didn't see anything. They told me to forget. But forgetting is impossible when the truth stains your memory like a fingerprint. Her trembling confession forced investigators to reopen everything they tried to seal. Then came the final frame, the one deliberately excluded from every version the public saw. The one that shouldn't exist, yet does. Menlong's body lay still. The air thickened. And the hidden figure stepped back into the darkness. But not before turning their face toward the camera. Not before letting a faint smile, cruel and victorious, curl at the corner of their mouth. Not before giving the world a silent message. I was here. He fell because of me. And you'll never prove it. That smirk is now the face of the truth they tried desperately to bury. Every revelation, every shadow, every bruise, every spike of sound rhymes with the earlier findings, creating one continuous chain of evidence that links back to a single fact. Yu Menlong's death was not an accident. It was a mission. A silencing. A warning wrapped in the disguise of tragedy. And his final request, echoing from beyond the conspiracy, rises in the form of this investigation. Remember my name. Not the way they wrote it. Not the way they framed it. But the way the truth whispers it now, strong, unbroken, defiant. Menlong is no longer just a victim. He is the storm forming above the lies. He is the crack in the wall they can no longer plaster over. He is the echo that refuses to fade. They hid the truth. They altered reports. They threatened witnesses. They controlled the light, the sound, the story. But they forgot something crucial. Names carry weight. Stories grow teeth. And truth, no matter how long it's locked away, always finds a way to fight back. This is that fight. This is the return. This is the truth pushing its way into the light. Yu Menlong's name is no longer a whisper. It's a roar. A warning. A legacy carved into the very lies used to silence him. Please remember his name. Not because he died, but because he refused to disappear. The night of Yu Menlong's death has become a battlefield of truths and lies, each new piece of evidence arriving like lightning tearing open a dark sky. And the deeper investigators dig into that night, the louder the earth beneath it seems to shake, as though the truth buried there has been kicking against its coffin for far too long. Every new frame, every enhanced pixel, every amplified whisper fits the rhythm of what came before, each revelation rhyming with the last, forming a chain too tight, too synchronized, too undeniable. It isn't just evidence anymore, it's a heartbeat. And that heartbeat was never meant to be heard. The video tells the first chapter. It always has. But now, when the technicians adjust the clarity, the footage doesn't just show the street, it breathes. The air thickens. The shadows sharpen. The night rearranges itself into the pattern it's been trying to reveal all along. Yu Menlong's figure walks into view, head slightly lowered, as though listening to something only he could hear. The street lamps cast a pale gold over the pavement, but the glow feels cautious, hesitant, as if the lights themselves knew what was coming and wished they could dim their eyes. The figure in the corner of the frame, once dismissed as a pixel error, now stands like a monument of menace. The enhanced footage reveals a subtle shift in their posture, a microscopic movement that went unnoticed in the first viewing. Their shoulder rises. Their weight shifts. Their gaze locks. Predators move with patience. And patience lingers on that figure like a scent. The metallic glint near their hand refracts the light in a way that is anything but accidental. The engineers ran simulations. Reflections dance, distort, disappear. But this glint remains steady. Sharp. Purposeful. The unmistakable signature of a collapsible baton, waiting for its cue in the darkest corner of the street. The sound spike at 2:14 grows louder each time the audio is enhanced, until the truth becomes impossible to drown. The impact doesn't just sound like a hit, it sounds like intention breaking through silence. A sharp, compact note of violence. A moment where someone else's decision carved itself into Menlong's spine. The investigators replay the sound over and over, their faces tightening each time. Accidents don't come with a pulse. This sound has one. And the shadow, God, that shadow moves with the kind of intelligence no trick of light can imitate. In the freeze frame, it leans forward before Menlong does. It retracts when he pauses. It stretches when he walks. When he moves left, it adjusts right, creating a mirrored choreography that exposes the lie the officials tried to sell. Lighting experts mapped the angles, the height, the physics. The math is merciless. That shadow cannot be Menlong's. It belongs to a body standing in the exact place officials insisted stood empty. But emptiness doesn't breathe. That shadow does. The pavement beneath Menlong's body holds its own testimony. Microfracture patterns don't lie, they capture moment, momentum, force. A slip leaves a scattered pattern. A push leaves a direct, concentrated signature. The fractures beneath Menlong tell the story plainly. He didn't fall naturally. He was driven downward. Driven by a force that had already left its mark somewhere else on his body. The autopsy bruise, reappearing like a ghost despite all attempts to erase it, matches the angle of attack captured in the video. Oval. Deep. Formed moments before the fall. A bruise born of violence, not gravity. A bruise that officials tried to exile from the world. Yet bruises return. Bruises speak. And this one screams. The blackout remains the most chilling part of the night's choreography. Less than a second of darkness, 0.8 seconds, to be exact, but that sliver of night was long enough for a person to step forward, strike, and retreat. Electrical experts confirmed the reroute wasn't automatic. It wasn't accidental. It was commanded. Someone switched off the light. Someone created a window for the hit. Someone timed it down to a fraction of a heartbeat. When the lights blinked back, the scene pretended nothing happened. But the pavement knew. The air knew. The evidence knew. Even the trees seemed to know, branches frozen in a windless moment, as though nature itself watched the crime play out silently. And then the final hidden frame emerges like the last mask falling off a face. The figure steps back from Menlong's motionless body. The darkness embraces them like an accomplice. But before they disappear, they lift their chin slightly, just enough for the camera to catch that subtle curve of a smile. A smile that wasn't meant to be seen. A smile that served as the final nail sealing the truth. A smile that the officials carved out of every public release. But now it's here. Unedited. Unmasked. Undeniable. In the last breath of the footage, the night exhales. The air shifts. The truth stands up from where it was forced to kneel. And suddenly, everything rhymes. The bruise with the sound spike. The blackout with the shadow. The glint with the fall. The smirk with the silence that followed. The new evidence doesn't just contradict the official version. It destroys it. Burns it down. Scatters its ashes across the very street where Menlong took his final steps. And piece by piece, scene by scene, the night finally confesses what it always knew. Menlong didn't fall. He was silenced. Someone planned it. Someone executed it. Someone hid it. But evidence is patient. And the truth, once awakened, never sleeps again.